AI is popping up everywhere, even in German courtrooms. I mean, who would thought, right?
Absolutely.
And that's just one example of how this tech is like completely reshaping everything around us, like even the legal system.
Yeah.
So today we're going deep on how AI is transforming the workplace, especially focusing on those generative AI tools that seem to be on everyone's mind these days.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a hot topic.
It really is.
Yeah.
So we've got two really interesting sources that we're going to be pulling from today to help us kind of unpack all of this.
Okay.
The first is an article from Authority, which is a website. It's a leading website that covers AI technology news.
Okay.
And the other is a Medium article by an AI expert. And it breaks down a recent German court case and what it could mean for the future of work.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so this deep dive is all about helping you navigate the evolving landscape of AI in your own workplace.
Right.
Whether you're an employee or an employer, we're going to be kind of looking at the key considerations, the potential challenges, kind of all sides of this.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what's crazy is just how quickly AI is being adopted.
Yeah.
Like, it's not science fiction anymore. It's really happening right now, and you're seeing it in all sorts of businesses.
I mean, Authority reports that a staggering 96% of businesses are already using generative AI.
Wow.
And that's triple the number from just a year ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's driving this really rapid adoption? Why is it happening so fast?
I think the key here is understanding the potential benefits, right?
Yeah.
Businesses are starting to really realize that AI can significantly boost efficiency by automating all those kind of routine tasks that take up so much time.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of opening up all these new avenues for problem solving and innovation.
So it's not just about like replacing jobs with robots.
Exactly.
It's about like working smarter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think of it more as like augmenting human capabilities.
Yeah.
So for instance, legal teams are now using AI to like analyze mountains of case law,
Yeah.
in a fraction of the time it would take manually.
Right.
And in healthcare, AI is being used to analyze medical images, which helps doctors spot anomalies that might be missed by the human eye.
Wow.
And that leads to earlier diagnosis and treatment, and ultimately it's improving patient outcomes, which is huge.
That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like AI is having a huge impact across a lot of different sectors and a lot of different ways. But I'm also kind of wondering about the potential downsides. Are there any downsides to this?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this rapid adoption isn't without its challenges, right?
Yeah.
And that's where this fascinating German court case comes in. It really highlights, the growing tension between employee freedom and employer control in this kind of new AI-powered world that we're living in.
Okay, so can you give us a little background on this case? Like what happened?
Sure. So in Germany, they have something called a works council, which basically represents the interests of employees. And in this case, a works council actually challenged an employer's AI policy in court.
Interesting. So what were their concerns? What was it that made them want to challenge the policy?
Well, the council was worried about a bunch of things, including data security, making sure that employee data is protected, employee privacy, and then also the potential for unfair treatment.
Okay.
Especially like if AI systems were used in hiring decisions or performance evaluations, essentially they wanted to ensure that AI was implemented responsibly, right?
Right.
And that employees' rights were protected.
Makes sense. So how did the court rule?
Well, the court actually sided with the employees,
Oh, wow.
which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
They ruled that employees have the right to use personal generative AI tools for work as long as they don't, compromise company resources or data. It's
Yeah.
kind of a landmark decision because it really limits how much control employers have over their employees' use of AI.
So that's a really interesting development. I mean, it sounds like this ruling could have major implications for workplaces everywhere, not just in Germany, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it raises some really fundamental questions about, like, the balance of power in the workplace and the need for clear guidelines around AI usage. And I think what we're seeing is kind of a shift from employers dictating what tools can be used to a more collaborative approach where employee input is actually valued.
That makes a lot of sense. So the big question now is, should workplaces allow or even encourage employees to use their own AI tools?
Right, yeah.
That seems to be like the central question that a lot of people are grappling with right now.
It's a complex issue, and there are compelling arguments on both sides, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth exploring those further, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. But before we dive into that, for those who might not be super familiar with all this, can you just briefly explain what generative AI is and why it's causing such a stir?
Sure. Generative AI basically refers to a type of artificial intelligence that can create new content.
Mm.
So think like text, images, audio, even code.
Wow.
And it's causing a stir because it has the potential to completely revolutionize tons of industries, from marketing and content creation to software development and scientific research. It's kind of impacting everything.
Okay, so now back to the question of allowing personal AI tools in the workplace.
Right.
What are some of the potential benefits and drawbacks that we need to kind of consider here?
Okay, well, let's start with the benefits.
Yeah.
So personal AI tools can be incredibly cost-effective for employers, right?
Uh,
Instead of investing in like expensive enterprise software, employees can just utilize tools that they're already familiar with and comfortable using.
yeah, that makes sense.
And there's also that added benefit of employees potentially discovering some innovative new tools that the company might not even be aware of.
Oh, interesting.
And they can actually give them a competitive edge.
I see, yeah. I can see how that would be really appealing, especially from a cost-saving perspective.
Yeah.
And it could also, like, empower employees to kind of take ownership of their work and find the tools that work best for them.
Exactly.
But I imagine there are some pretty serious concerns as well, right?
Of course. And I think one of the biggest ones is data security.
Yeah.
When employees are using a whole bunch of different AI tools, it becomes much harder to control and protect sensitive company information
Right.
because not all AI tools are created equal when it comes to security.
Yeah.
And employees might not always be aware of the risks involved.
Right. They might not be thinking about that. Okay. So what about the issue of unequal access? Not every employee will have the same resources or technical skills when it comes to these personal AI tools, right?
You've hit upon another key concern there.
Oh, yeah.
Unequal access can create an uneven playing field,
Mm,
and it could potentially exacerbate existing inequalities within the workplace.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
So if some employees have access to powerful AI tools while others don't, it could impact their performance and career progression.
Yeah, that's true.
Employers really need to consider these implications and ensure that all employees have fair and equitable access to the resources they need to succeed.
So it sounds like there's some real challenges to navigate with all of this.
Yeah.
So given all these considerations, what options do employers have when it comes to kind of addressing AI in the workplace? What can they do?
Well, essentially, employers face a pretty critical decision.
Okay.
Do they embrace personal AI tools with all the potential risks that come with that? Or do they play it safe and provide company-sanctioned tools, even if it costs more?
Okay.
So let's actually explore both of those options in more detail.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so let's kind of dive into those options that you just mentioned. What does it look like for a company to kind of embrace those personal AI tools?
Well, it starts with setting some really clear guidelines and expectations, right?
Yeah.
Employees need to know exactly what's permissible, and what's off limits
Yeah.
when they're using AI tools for work purposes.
Okay.
So this includes things like, data security protocols, which types of AI tools are actually acceptable to use, and how to properly handle sensitive company information.
So it's not just a free-for-all.
Exactly.
You're saying there needs to be some, like, rules of the road.
Yeah, think of it like establishing a framework for responsible AI use, within the workplace.
Yeah.
And it's not enough to just have like a policy document tucked away somewhere.
Right.
Companies need to actually train their employees on these guidelines,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to data security and the potential risks.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like giving employees a powerful new tool, but you want to make sure they know how to use it safely and effectively, right?
Precisely. And this training needs to be ongoing. It can't just be a one-time thing
Okay.
because the AI landscape is evolving so rapidly. It's important to keep employees updated on the latest best practices and potential risks.
So even with those clear guidelines and the training, are there still risks associated with allowing those personal AI tools?
Of course. I mean, one concern is that employees might unknowingly use a tool that has inherent biases, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that could lead to problems down the line,
Yeah.
especially if it affects decision-making.
Yeah.
There's also the challenge of making sure that all employees are using tools that actually meet certain security and ethical standards.
Okay.
And it can be tough to monitor and control that when everyone's using different tools from all these different sources.
Those are really good points.
Yeah.
So what about the other option, like providing those company-sanctioned AI tools?
Right.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of that approach?
Well, I think the main advantage is control.
Okay.
So when a company provides the AI tools, They can be really selective and choose tools that meet their specific security and ethical requirements.
Right.
They can also provide really comprehensive training and support to ensure that everyone is using the tools correctly and effectively. And this can help minimize data security risks and promote responsible AI use across the board.
So it sounds like the company sanction approach offers like a greater level of security and control. But I
Right.
imagine that comes with its own set of challenges as well, right?
Absolutely. One of the biggest challenges is cost.
Okay.
Those enterprise-level AI tools can be pretty expensive, especially if you need to buy licenses for a large number of employees.
Right.
And then you might also need to invest in dedicated IT infrastructure and support to manage those tools effectively.
Yeah, and wouldn't there also be potential pushback from employees?
Yeah,
Like employees who are already comfortable using their own tools, right? They might feel like their flexibility and autonomy is being restricted.
that's a valid concern, yeah.
Yeah.
And employees are often more productive and engaged when they can use tools that they're familiar with and that they prefer.
Right.
So it's important to find that balance between control and autonomy.
Yeah.
And maybe the best approach actually lies in some kind of hybrid model.
A hybrid model, what would that look like?
So a company could like offer a core set of approved AI tools
Okay.
that meet their security and ethical standards while still allowing employees to use personal tools for certain specific tasks, as long as those tools meet certain criteria as well.
Okay.
So this could provide a certain level of flexibility, but still maintain some control over data security and responsible AI usage.
That's a really interesting idea. It kind of seems like a good compromise,
Yeah.
kind of offering the best of both worlds.
It's all about finding the right balance for your organization and its needs.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to AI in the workplace.
Now, regardless of whether a company chooses to embrace those personal AI tools, provide company sanctioned tools, or do some kind of hybrid approach, there are some fundamental considerations that apply across the board, right?
Absolutely. I mean, data security, as we talked about, is absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
And both articles really emphasize how important it is to protect that sensitive company information, whether that's through employee training, robust usage policies, or investing in AI tools with top-notch security features. Having a comprehensive data security strategy in place is essential when you're implementing AI in the workplace.
That makes perfect sense. And what about intellectual property?
Right.
It seems like things could get a little bit murky when employees are using AI tools for work-related tasks, right?
That's a critical point. Who owns the output generated by these AI tools? Is it the employee? Is it the company? Is it even the AI developer?
Right.
These are all questions that need to be carefully considered and addressed in company policies and agreements.
Yeah.
And honestly, we're likely to see more legal cases emerge as these issues become more and more prominent.
Yeah, it's almost like a whole new legal frontier is opening up.
It really is. And it's crucial for both employers and employees to stay informed and be proactive in addressing these evolving legal and ethical considerations.
It really does feel like navigating the world of AI in the workplace it's a bit like walking a tightrope. There are all these benefits and risks to consider, and the landscape is constantly shifting.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. It definitely requires, careful planning, clear communication,
Hmm.
and a willingness to adapt as new challenges and opportunities come up.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive today into AI in the workplace, what are some key takeaways? What do you want our listeners to really remember from all of this?
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to recognize that AI is no longer this futuristic concept, right?
Right.
It's a present reality. It's actively transforming businesses across all these different sectors,
Yeah.
and the adoption rate is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And this trend shows no signs of slowing down.
And we've seen how AI can offer like really significant benefits to companies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, from boosting efficiency and automating those tedious tasks to, even unlocking new levels of creativity and problem solving.
Yeah.
But I think it's also crucial to acknowledge the potential challenges that come with, this technological revolution that's happening.
Definitely.
Data security, intellectual property rights, and, the need for clear guidelines. Those are just a few hurdles that we really need to be thinking about and addressing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That landmark court case in Germany, I think, really opened all of our eyes to just how much the legal landscape is evolving around AI, right?
Yeah.
And this like delicate balance between employee freedom and employer control. It's clear that this conversation around, responsible AI use is really just beginning.
It is.
And then we've also kind of explored those different approaches that employers can take from, embracing personal AI tools with those clear guidelines to providing the company sanctioned tools or even, maybe doing some sort of hybrid model. It really seems like the best approach. It's going to depend on like the specific needs and circumstances of each organization.
It really does.
So it's been really fascinating to kind of delve into all of these complex issues with you.
Yeah, this has been great.
But as AI becomes even more integrated into our lives, I think the big question remains, how can we make sure that, its benefits are maximized while also at the same time mitigating those potential risks?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this deep dive has equipped you with some valuable insights into this evolving world of AI in the workplace.
Yeah.
And now it's time to take this knowledge and apply it to your own situation, right?
Exactly.
Whether you're an employee kind of figuring out how to navigate all these new tools, or you're an employer shaping company policies around AI.
I think the key is to keep exploring.
Yeah,
Keep asking those questions and keep that conversation going. The future of work, it's being written right now.
it is.
And we all have a role to play in shaping it responsibly and ethically.